Hey, so welcome back, Fooksters, to
Hey
What the
everybody, how's it
Fook.
going?
It's a crazy show about, I guess, random thoughts between two dudes talking randomly about their lives, about their startups, about aliens, about spirituality, about magic. And today I want to talk about magic, actually.
Oh,
But before we talk about magic, Roberto, you wanted to talk about something special, right? You wanted to talk about Queen Elizabeth dying.
yeah, no, it happened yesterday, so I figured well, let's touch a bit on it. What are your thoughts on the Queen Elizabeth dying? Me
Well,
personally, I never liked the
my
monarchy.
thoughts are actually quite controversial, I would say. So here's from my point of view. I didn't know my grandfather
Okay,
from both my mom and my dad's point of view, but from my dad's side.
okay,
Both of them were killed, executed by the French in Vietnam,
damn.
right?
Okay,
So when my mom did not grow up with a father, my dad did not grow up with a father. So my father, basically grew up without a dad, and I was lucky to grow up with a dad, but no, because of colonization.
yeah, yeah, no, it sucks.
Because some king and some queen of some nation from some strange land said, "Hey, go take over this land that wasn't theirs."
yeah, pretty much.
Now, of course, there's good sides and bad sides, and there's pros and cons to everything that you do. But in this case, it's pretty clear that like colonization was not a good thing.
No, they crushed everything that was there before, so oh, but you like it now. There's no point of comparison, and you'll never know what could have been.
Right. But also in the grand scheme of humanity, right? Let's say you have the time of tribes, and tribes had to have leaders, and these leaders became King Arthur. And King Arthur was actually a very good person who wanted to make sure the tribes didn't kill each other. The tribes were very angry, very disordered. He brought order. A queen or king, doesn't matter if it's a woman or a man, they bring order to chaos. And for the bringing of order to chaos, they're rewarded with a leadership. The leadership that a queen would have, a king would have, empowers them to have special rights, to make laws, to collect taxes, to fight on behalf of a country, to make decisions, to colonize, expand, and perhaps take over other kingdoms. And so what starts out to be something that is about love sometimes gets corrupted because you use love for the people in your nation, nationalism, in your
Yep.
tribe, to then go ahead and fight other tribes.
Exactly, and you justify it by dehumanizing the other tribes. You show up and you're like, these people are animals, so don't worry about it. So do what you have to do. We're helping them out. So it kind of regularizes this like random violence.
And actually it still happens today. For example, the
Yeah,
Philippines.
yeah,
So maybe people don't follow the Philippine politics, but there was a dictator. He basically in the 70s killed a ton of people. He's a terrible person, and then his son basically got elected to be prime minister of the Philippines, the head of the Philippines.
fuck,
Bill
man.
Clinton, Bill Clinton was president, and his wife somehow became a presidential candidate really quickly. The
Yeah,
Bushes, the Bushes were father-son presidents within a lifetime, and there were
yeah,
other examples of
Trudeau.
what we think is democracy is really a continuation of the same theme.
Yeah,
You have a
yeah,
tribe leader. The tribe leader uses other members of the tribe to basically get themselves to be leader. Now, it takes time for democracy to penetrate fully. So, I think the founding fathers of America, they were very actually wise. And they allowed certain members of Congress, for example, to actually stay in Congress for a long time. Nancy Pelosi, for example. Nancy
man.
Pelosi was there during JFK. Did you know that?
It's been a
She's
while.
that old. And during that time, they actually
How old is she?
allowed. I'm actually a history buff. They allowed certain citizens to have lifetime jobs. Like
That's
you can be
crazy, though.
senator for life. You can be congresswoman for life.
She's 82. Imagine I was talking with somebody about this exactly. At a certain point, you wouldn't hire her to work at McDonald's. Because at 82, you're not that. I mean, like, there's the speed and there's like a bunch of things that you need and like the awareness and all these things. Why would you hit these people with like such a complicated job, which is administering a country, especially like something in the States? And yet there they are.
The founding
It's like,
fathers were actually wise. They did that because you need both. You need people to churn through, like the president, which is the ultimate power. The maximum is 2. Because who said so? George Washington said so. George Washington said, I'm going to do 2, and let's make it so that's 2. Okay? That was actually not just, it was in the country, it was actually an individual who saw the danger of power.
okay.
But you also need to have experienced politicians who know how to do something. Let's say you have an airline pilot, and the airline pilot had 30, 40 years of flying experience. Wouldn't you want that pilot to be your pilot? Of course. But why would you say you don't want a politician with 30, 40 years of experience to write your laws?
Mm-hmm.
Your laws are complicated. There's nuances. You need Nancy Pelosi's. You
But I
do
mean,
need them. But also the
some
pilot,
point,
might be drunk and not pay attention anymore and may not be as efficient. And maybe they, hang out with the stewardesses and they, do shady things and they do
Yeah,
bad things.
that's
That's
the
what happens
issue.
in humans, period.
yeah. But exactly, that's the issue. I mean, like, at some point, you've been in power for so long that you've done so much shady shit that you can't leave.
But what's happening right now is information. See, that's where I have hope. So when I was, young and even a couple of years ago, I thought, hey, this is not going to change ever. Like you, you're like, this is always the way. But there's a difference. There's a difference in today's world, which is information. So this is something that I've learned through marketing. I've learned through truth seeking. I learned through spirituality, trying to ask myself, what is the truth? And how do humans figure out what the truth is? And there's something actually called the Normandy effect. Okay? And this I learned through Rory Sutherland. He has a really good basically philosophy. And his philosophy he turned into a conference, and he shared this knowledge because he was the vice chairman of Ogilvy. Now, Ogilvy is one of the largest advertising agencies in the world. And what he did was, he's the vice chairman, and his job was to come with new ideas of how to advertise and to make humans buy stuff more. So he actually hired really, really smart people from PhD programs who do like animal studies and trials and all that stuff. And he was able to actually coin a new term called neuromarketing. Okay? Neuromarketing is going to explain everything that just happened to Queen Elizabeth, going back to Queen Elizabeth, and why she was kept and the whole royal family was kept even after democracy came to the UK. Okay? The reason why they had to be still around is, according to neuromarketing, it's really hard to market an organization. Right? So by the way, this show is also about business and how to run a business.
Of course.
And how to think strategy. And so, geniuses are everywhere and, opportunity is not. That is also the motto of the show. And part of it is to explain at a strategic level how to think about life, how to think about marketing, because it's the same thing. All you're doing is convincing another human to do something they otherwise may not have done. Okay? And so how do you convince humans to do things? If an organization says, hey, go buy this. Nike says, go buy this. Maybe. If it's a good brand, it takes time to build a brand. But what if Shaq says, go buy these shoes, or Michael Jordan says, go buy these shoes? Who's more likely to buy the shoe? Which commercial do you think is going to win?
Yeah, no, the guy definitely. Like Shaq or, I believe, Michael.
The individual.
Yeah.
Because it's easier to relate to someone, a person, and have that person be someone that you share a relationship with long run. Because you're people. People relate with people. People who do not relate with things as well. But when people you relate with talk about business all the time, what do you think about those people, Roberto? At a party, they just always talk about work.
I honestly think sometimes it's sad, because I feel that's all they have.
Correct. So those people can't just talk about work. They have to talk about their family.
Yeah, I mean, something else. I mean,
Right.
balance
Talk about
out,
like
you know?
sports. Talk about a hobby. Talk about 5 things. Okay. So that's what the queen is for. So the queen is basically a PR person who represents what the government of the UK wants their citizens to do.
Okay.
She's basically the opiate of the masses. She's a figurehead. That is the Kim Kardashian of the UK before Kim Kardashian existed.
Yes.
Because think of what she represents. She represents a lifestyle that everybody wants to have, where you don't work, you go to awesome parties, you hang out and go on vacations, you do charity events to make yourself feel like you're actually doing something great, and you go to the US Open and fancy balls, and you live a dream of what would happen if you made it. If you were the king or queen. The king or queen is the top of the pyramid. That's a representation of success in that country. It's a national pride thing. Right? So like, would you be proud of your kid if he or she had straight A's? Of course. If they won the Olympics, of course. If they did something special, of course you'd be proud. You have to be proud of an individual in your country. And so why not someone that's permanent, that goes to awesome parties and stuff like that, and then every once in a while when there's a war, calm everybody down. Trust me. Trust in the government, trust in the process. Or when there's a calamity, that's like a big disaster. Hey, give to this Red Cross. Give to this charity.
Mm-hmm. But I feel that, as a society, we were done with these, like, shows and all these, like, all the whole circus aspect of things.
You can't be done
to still
with
have kings and queen, like, and I remember, like, Canada's part of the Commonwealth, right?
So you know who AOC is in the United States?
Yes.
You need AOC because she represents a brand of society, a segment of society.
Mm-hmm.
For example, Martin Luther King.
Okay.
If Martin Luther King was there for 5-8 years and you said, Martin Luther King, you can't be Martin Luther King anymore, would that sound crazy to you? Of course. If you're Martin Luther King, keep doing what you're doing. If you're Gandhi, keep doing what you're doing. If you're Tesla, keep inventing stuff. If you're really talented at what you do, why could you only be in the NFL for 8 years? You can be Tom Brady and be there for 25 years or maybe longer.
But what if what you're good at isn't helping anybody? Let's say McConnell. That guy has blocked a ton of shit. Yeah, man.
That's your opinion, but he has constituents.
Yes.
So that's the whole thing. It's a game.
It is a game.
Game
and
where
you have
the
the
people on
illusion of
top have an
choice.
advantage. They have an advantage because they've been there longer. They've done more things. And guess what? It's called earning it. You've done it because you're successful. You've earned trust from your constituents. You've also earned trust from your donors. You've earned trust from a bunch of people who trust you to fill that role.
But I mean,
So
yes
you're actually
and no.
you're not even an individual anymore. You're a product of a system. You're what you basically comply to the maximum number of people to get you the votes you want, and that's called democracy.
It's not, though, because they spend most of their time just fundraising. So at some point, if this, I've been doing this ClickFunnels things. Let's say and basically what the guy says is that the more I put my information out there, the more I put myself and everybody get to know me, which is why they raise all the money is to pay ads and pay a bunch of things. Then of course I have better chances than somebody who has no budget, regardless of how good I am. I remember what is this guy? He was going to run for president. Cheng. He was offering people free money, and he had like a budget plan and everything.
This is not new. In the Philippines, you know what the guy said when he won? He said, my dad, even though he killed thousands of people, blah, 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 they never mentioned that. My dad was actually a hero. You know who he said? It was the stupidest comment ever. He said, my dad built the most roads and produced the most rice under his leadership than anyone else in Filipino history. Now, how do you judge success based on roads and rice?
And rice?
Because everything else was shit. You know what I'm saying? And also, it's probably true because guess what? Roads didn't exist until probably, cement came and asphalt and all that stuff. And, rice, maybe what happened was there was a lot of fertilizer that we can buy from, other nations. And somehow they also came machinery. called the agricultural, industrial revolution, and you take credit for that. It's called spinning.
Yeah.
So
I mean,
spinning
it's
is
a model.
But guess what, dude? Who else is spinning? Everybody else. So it's basically a fight. Just imagine a fight, okay?
Mm-hmm.
And you bring a gun to a knife fight. Who's gonna win?
Yeah, no, definitely. I mean, if you have a gun, but I mean, you're not supposed to if you're in the government.
You're not supposed to, but guess what happens? The gun is social media right now. The gun is Donald Trump, this person in the Philippines, whoever AOC. They're very photogenic. They say wild things to keep themselves in the PR news cycle because that's what they do best.
Yeah.
They are stage performers, virtue signaling their tribes, morals, and brand. And the more they basically this creating a tribe at the same time listening to that tribe. And they're demagogues. You know what a demagogue is?
Nope.
A demagogue is someone who has no skill except to rile other people up. Like they're very good at basically saying a bunch of stuff and getting a lot of people to agree with them, and then basically getting power. Exactly what you just said.
Yeah. Like we had a president who was like this. It's called his name. His name was Abdallah Bucaram. He was still there, and at some point when he won, he's like, "Okay, now what?" He got everybody could relate to him, and then he just went back to whoever paid for his campaign and was like, "Okay, let's do this now." The point was to win, regardless if you could.
It's awesome. That's the way it's supposed to be, man. Think about it. You got 50 people saying a bunch of crap. If the people believe in that crap and they vote for someone like that, they deserve that leader. Okay? What's going to happen is corruption's going to happen.
No, I mean...
let me explain. Let me explain my thought, okay?
Yeah.
This is the Normandy effect.
Yes.
So the Normandy effect is this. So going back to normal marketing, going back to business, going back to actually advertising in general, okay? Let's say you have a product, and your product is pretty good quality, and you actually know the truth is actually it's a great product, okay? So if you have a great product, you can advertise it every different way you can. You can say how amazingly cheap it is compared to other products. You can say how beautiful it is. You can say how it's energy efficient and good for the economy because it's built in America, or it's somehow green tech, save the environment. Okay. There are different ways you can tell the truth. And so when you advertise, the thing is, think of it as flowers attracting bees. This is the no marketing way. The no marketing way is you used to say, hey, I have a gut feeling of how to advertise. I should advertise this way.
Yeah.
But the no marketing way is, nope, there's actually only one way, through evolution. You can think about the audience, you can think about the voters as bees. Bees fly around and they look for flowers. The more beautiful the flower, the more beautiful the nectar it looks like it has, the more likely they're going to land on that flower. And they're going to recognize the flowers that have the most beautiful nectar and most beautiful whatever. And they're going to suck on that, and they're going to procreate that flower, and the flower is actually going to benefit from the bees. Now, the flower that actually has fake honey, where the flower itself doesn't have really good sweet honey, the bees are not going to go to. They might go once, they might land on that flower, they might buy your product, they might order from somewhere where you've never ordered before. You give them a little bit of faith because you land on that flower as a consumer or as a bee, because you're looking for flowers. You're looking for things to buy that's interesting, okay? And you land on that flower and you taste it and it's not that great. You go to the restaurant, you ate it. The Yelp reviews look really, really, really amazing. Or the Amazon product looks really, really amazing. On the reviews, you buy it once. It actually is not really what you think it is. And what's most likely to happen is you're going to piss on it. You're going to make a bad review. You might even put a hormone, okay? A hormone that you secrete as a bee. This hormone tells other bees, hey, that flower that looks like that, that's not a good flower. That's a bad review. And so through nature, Rory Sutherland and his team, these PhDs who already study nature, who study monkeys, who study humans in labs and behavior, have also found out this, okay? if an individual was telling you to do something versus a group, empirically the individual will win. Okay? If you give a monkey A or B, okay? They're going to do 50-50. Okay? But if you give them 5 reasons to do something, they'll always do it. Because if you give 5 reasons to buy something, every reason only has a small chance of you committing. If you had, let's say, 2 choices, right? Let's say you have to say, okay, you have to have shoes.
Okay.
And your shoes are black or white. You're Nike. Shoes have to be black or white, and you give it to the consumer. Now, you can say as a marketing person, is that a good idea? Oh, let's just do that. It's A/B test. But neuromarketing says, no, that's completely wrong. Because mathematically, if you give a consumer 50-50, they're only going to buy 50% of the time. Logic, right?
Yeah.
I don't like black. I like white. I'm going to buy white. But you don't have green. Okay? Now, you add a third color, green. You actually increase it because someone might buy the black one, might buy the green one, might buy the white one. And you actually have more chances. That makes sense, right?
It does, though, but at the same time, you have the... You remember like how the McDonald's menu used to look? I don't know if you've been there. It used to have all their items. And people would just stand there and look at it, yeah.
Exactly. So you give them 3 choices, it's good. 4 choices, even better. 5 choices, perfect. But 6 choices, exactly what you just said.
Yeah.
You give them indecision because they're paralyzed by too many options. Okay?
Yep.
So I like to buy Tesla because it's an awesome car, A. I need to buy a quality car. B, I want to help the environment. C, I like his gusto and this entrepreneur. I want to invest in this personality. The ego, right? Or the savior, whatever you think he is. I want to be part of that story. That's also very important, which is I want be part of that journey. I want to feel like I'm important. The self-esteem involved. When I buy Kim Kardashian's products, I feel like I'm part of Kim Kardashian's club and supporting her life. I know I'm going to make her rich, but that's what I want to do.
Like richer.
But that's okay because I'm part of her family indirectly, and I belong to a group.
That's true.
I have self-esteem that I'm buying. I'm buying the inclusion to a group where I automatically belong if I buy Gucci. If I buy Gucci, I automatically belong to the Gucci handbag queens.
Yeah.
You buy self-esteem.
I have some, what is it, like the Rock Under Armour gear for working out. So it's like, I get it.
So again, when you run a business, give 5 reasons to buy something in your restaurant. Okay? But also, you have to basically give them a individual. The Colonel, KFC.
Okay.
Right? They used to have a Colonel, Colonel Sanders.
Yep.
And now they did KFC. Maybe they still have the Colonel on it as a photo, but they know why. You know why they have to have the Colonel? Because it has to be an individual. Okay?
Yeah.
It has to be an individual that's a leader, and that individual is Queen Elizabeth, who passed away.
Yeah.
Yeah, and she basically became the martyr for the country, representing a time that's gone, and now there's going to be some celebration. It gives the country a narrative and the news cycle something they can go on. So it's also an industry.
It is an industry.
Industry of gossip.
It's a touristic attraction. Like the whole circus around it, all the people, all the jobs created. There's somebody that tried on her shoes before she tried them on.
They have guards standing there guarding Buckingham Palace.
Did you know there's guards like specific,
thing.
like the beef eater guys? They take care of the crows. Like that's part of their job to feed crows that were there in part. Like I was in the I was reading about the whole London Bridge has fallen like phrase and how it came to be. And it involved the crows that were there, and the beef eaters had to take care of them, and all these. It was just like this whole very superstitious thing, and it's crazy.
What happens is these things called tradition are basically industry packaging things that tell a story that's compelling to the human imagination.
Yeah. Yeah.
So they're selling nostalgia. They're selling the reminiscence of you when you were young. They're selling youth, a peek into your youth. They're selling you a portal into time gone by that you miss. They're selling you a little piece of your childhood. Right? When you had dreams of being a princess. When you had dreams of knights and adventure and magic. And that's why you watch Game of Thrones. Right? That's why you watch, these Lord of the Rings. That's
Lord of the Rings
those shows. Because even today when we have democracy, there's still something we're missing. And we're missing the magic of heroes.
Yeah, the showmanship.
Magic of the individual being able to change whole societies, take over the world, good or bad.
Yeah.
Like the superheroes in Marvel, right? But actually,
Well, yes, that's what I felt like.
In reality,
I felt that Trump brought that to the table. I don't like politicians in general, and he was the one that told him, like, you know what, fuck off. And the way,
Well, Trump. Okay, so Trump is just a sign of the times.
Yes, definitely.
He's a demagogue who knows social media. So think of it this way, right? He brought a gun to a knife fight. Same thing with the Filipino president. He brought social media, and he beat everybody else using social media. And guess what social media is? Social media is a lazy way to learn information.
Definitely.
It's a group thought thing, where if this group says this, then it's probably true.
That's the thing. Yesterday, I don't know if I told you, I'm doing a master's degrees in digital marketing and communication.
Yep.
And yesterday we had a seminar from this guy, and he was talking about how you have like the traditional medium versus social media. And at the end, he asked for questions about it. And I told him, like, the whole premise is wrong because you're not comparing the same things. Newspapers, their job was to inform and everything, so that's why people trust them a bit more. But social media is just where my aunts put pictures of their cats. And the fact that we assume that this podium or there's this place where you can put whatever you want is actual information is the mistake.
But that's what happened in Russia right now. Russians, honestly, like Vladimir Putin, they live in a world where they've been invaded for thousands of years, including the Nazis. That's the latest bad guy. And now there are Nazis in Ukraine trying to do the same thing. Just like George Bush said, 9/11, something hit our homeland. We have to create a new Homeland Security Department. And we have to go take the offensive. We have to go fight wars to take on the bad guys where they're actually building more bad guys, where they're creating more opportunities for us to be hurt. So let's go invade Afghanistan. Let's go invade Iraq. Let's go take out the bad guys before they take us out on our homeland. Now, that's always been the strategy of the good guys. The good guys say, I don't want my family to get killed in a battle on Earth. Let me take the alien, whatever, battle to their alien. Or wherever elsewhere. And that's what happened to the Russian people. They basically were taught a certain thing, mind control, through information. But the internet is the thing that brings me hope. So just going back, it's always been the case, except recently, through Facebook, through social media. That's also the double-edged sword. It's a mind control device, but it's also a mind-freeing device.
Just to make a little parenthesis here,
user.
Remember last time you said
of the magic spells. So let's go into actually deep magic. Okay.
Wait, so before we move on,
go ahead.
Last time you said we were talking about aliens and everything, and how we've been being prepared for this, like slowly throughout our pop culture, all the movies, all the other stuff. Right now that you bring this about the heroes and the fighting elsewhere to be a good thing and to be better, you can see that as well, in the cartoons and everything that we've always watched. I don't know when Goku goes and he's about to fight somebody, he's like, no, like in the city, he's like, let's not do this here. Let's go over there where nobody cares about what happens. And then you already have this idea of, here we're going to mess everything up. Let's go fight in the middle of nowhere so we can go all out. And it gets instilled in your, like, in the back of your brain, as in, like, yeah, we shouldn't fight where we care about things. Let's go fight elsewhere.
Yeah, or let's not fight at all, which is the spiritual thing to do.
Yeah, no.
Right. So let's let's go to woo-woo, because this is my favorite part.
Let's do this.
So Roberto, last time we spoke, we basically had my thesis about aliens and how they're already here.
Yep.
Let me tell you more about what I really think about the history of our planet. Okay? So we are not the first civilization to live on this planet who've gotten to this level of technological progress and spiritual progress. Okay? You can think about the Earth as having epochs, time periods of 2,000 years, essentially.
Okay. 2,000.
2,000 years times 13 is 26,000 years.
Yeah.
26,000 years is how long it takes for us to go one time around the galaxy, the middle of the Milky, to basically around the our solar system, to go around the galaxy, basically.
Okay.
That's why you have different times. The times of Aquarius, the age of Aquarius, the age of Pisces, the age of whatever. And that's what's happening right now. Okay? But this is not the first time that there's a transition. We actually live in amazing times where there's actually going to be knowledge brought forth.
Okay.
And this knowledge brought forth is emergent. It's always going to be this through the end of time. This is my book, The Law of Emergent Knowledge, I'm going to write one day. Okay? So I'm going to use the show to kind of showcase some of the preview. So information is emergent. It's emergent based on the law of emergent knowledge. You have to have computation or experience. You have to have looping. And you have to have memory. Okay? So as the years go by, history happens. Or things happen. And then knowledge that is new unfolds based on the experience. For example, that's how machine learning and AI works. But actually, let me even bring it further back. That's how magic works. So you can imagine in a different time where I'm actually not a computer scientist. I'm actually a mage, a wizard, someone who can cast spells. Because that's what we would have been called back then in the age of Atlantis, or the age of the Egyptians, or the age of the Babylonians, or the age of blah, 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 a long time ago. Okay? And there'll be spiritual masters, like yogis, who mastered the mind and the power of the spirit. But it's actually the same type of knowledge. It's the knowledge of the quantum realm. Okay? Let me explain to you why 100% magic is real. And we're more powerful. You know how the channelers, all those people who woo-woo, they say, hey, we're more powerful and blah, blah, blah than you think, and we're the center of the universe. Because we are the center of the universe, me and you. We all represent time. We represent the CPU of the universe. Because without us, information that is new is never created. Our choices every day creates new timelines or new potentials.
Yeah.
So that's when you have the woo-woo people say, hey, it's different timelines, blah, blah, blah. The timelines are merging. The timelines are merging when people agree on things. That's really what it means. So timelines, each one of us releases potential energy or creates or releases entropy as we do things, as we make choices. Because going back to, again, how your brain works, you can only focus on something. Like you can focus on my face. Now, when you focus on my face, everything else is less focused. The resolution of reality goes higher in those areas you focus your mind on. The quantum realm is channeling through your brain through a receiver. Penrose calls it the microtubules. So microtubules, Penrose won a Nobel Prize. He's a physicist, very famous physicist. He says that in your brain, there are microtubules that basically let you connect to the quantum realm. And that's where the information that when you say, hey, I should go to the bathroom right now or not because I need to really pee really bad on the show or not, or like whatever it is, I have to go, pick up my daughter, and your mind wanders and all that. That's the quantum realm. That's you. That's the real higher self.
Okay.
That's you creating and untying or focusing on something or changing the program of what you're thinking about, because you're probably thinking about lunch from yesterday or how my nails are too long or whatever in class. But the idea is your brain is just your avatar. Okay? And you are controlling yourself in this magical realm. And so from another age, they would have understood that from 2 points of view. There's 2 ways you can understand that from 2 points of view, or several points of view, because the truth, I guess, again, there's many ways to tell the truth. Going back to neuromarketing, right? If the truth is the truth, you can tell the truth 5 different ways. You can say, hey, if you meditate, why do you think meditation works, Roberto?
Because you actually take time to focus on one aspect, which is like clearing everything.
Meditation works because you're turning off inputs. You're turning off your sight. You're turning off your hearing if you're in a quiet room.
Yep.
You're trying to reduce the things that you can compute.
Like all the
So I
stimulation.
can compute A, B, C, or D. And now A, B, or C, or D, which is the main function that you're computing all day, what you're looking at, what you're smelling, what you're hearing, all that stuff, all the stimulation, A, B, C, or D, that's all gone suddenly. So when A, B, C, D goes away, what goes and comes to the forefront, Roberto? What do you think?
Yeah, no, like all the other stuff.
Your traumas.
Oh.
In particular, your karma. So if you want to imagine what happens when you die, meditate.
Okay.
So meditation is practice for when you die. That's what it
Why?
really is.
Just because you
And
get to
it's
see
God
stuff?
magic. This has been when you start to do what's called God magic in my book. Okay, so this episode should be called God magic, and basically my theory of God magic. God magic is understanding how God created the universe and reverse engineering how to become a god. We are already God on the inside, so we just have to go inward because we're a reflection of God. God was the prime creator of everything, is the original source code for this operating system or this whatever reality that we're in. And we're just a small program, a small reflection of the original source. But we actually are running using the same CPU. So me and you agree on logic. How the hell did that happen? How come me and you agree 1 + 1 is 2? Because we're built from the same operating system. We agree on this reality and the rules of physics in this reality. So the information that we all see is free will. Agreeing that we live in this realm and this is reality, and me and you are observing each other with timelines dancing with each other, like DNA, twirling, interacting with each other until we leave the room. Okay? Now when we leave the room, basically I only have me to change my time, to change what I do. So my randomness goes away. The randomness of another timeline, we crave that. Why do we crave that as a timeline? We crave that because we like to dance with a partner who gives us more information. Remember, computation, looping, and memory. If you dance with another timeline, emerges other timelines. Children. I have 3 timelines I created from my wife and I, our 2 timelines interacting with each other, creating 3 new timelines.
Okay.
Forking off of our timelines. And that's creation. That's the ultimate God magic, is having children. Where out of nowhere, new energies and new timelines and new universes get created, right? But we're actually, it's not quite like that. We're receivers. We're receivers. So when I have a child, I'm creating a vessel for maybe another timeline to occupy that body that already existed. Because there's conservation of energy, conservation of matter and energy, also conservation of information. Because that information is the third force of magic. We in this world, in this realm, we call it physics. in the realm of Atlantis, in the realm of the Egyptians, in the realm of the Asian. Have you seen Asian movies, man? You know, you see like Goku. You know Goku, right?
I know Goku.
Chi Kung Fu. That was when they went to the inner, and they calculated E, F, G, H, I, and they found Z. And you know what Z was? God magic. The quantum realm, where they can control their bodies, because your body is a computer.
Mm-hmm.
There's another angle to look at that and say, you know what? Frankenstein is real, because look at Michael Levin. I talked about Michael Levin before on the show before.
Yeah,
right?
we did.
Michael Levin is a modern day Frankenstein. This is the science point of view. Your body is computer, because if you zap the voltage correctly, you can create a new eyeball or arm or body part in a frog.
It was crazy. I saw that TED Talk and man.
Go to the TED Talk. Michael Levin.
It's really it's really
Frankenstein. He
interesting.
proved that Frankenstein is real. All those movies and all those things with superheroes and stuff, it's also real. Because Gary Nolan, a Stanford professor, has found the mutant detector. You know X-Men? How there's in X-Men there's like a bad guy, and the bad guy can find out who mutants, and he can stop mutants.
Yep.
Well, mutants are real.
Was the government actually the bad guy?
In the brain, the basal ganglia, in the caudate pitumen, if it's enlarged, if it has more activity, that means you have psychic powers. You are more connected to the quantum realm and being able to access these telepathic powers, because there have been peer-reviewed papers and peer-reviewed studies that precognition is real. If someone gets zapped by something in this trial, they can see the signal from the brain milliseconds ahead of when the event happened.
Okay.
So precognition has been proven to be real. Telepathy is real. You have an MRI machine of two people who's supposed to be telepathic, and someone says something on this machine, and you can read the other signal from the other machine saying there's some activity on the same time. They look kind of the same.
That's
but
crazy.
You know how telepathy is real? Because Neuralink has proven that telepathy is real, scientifically. Because you can take a mouse, you can take a monkey, you can take someone walking, and you can read the electric signals from your brain. Because your brain is just sending a function. It's calling a function. It's calling some code. You can call it code. You can call it magic. You can call it anything you want. And it's casting a magic spell from the quantum realm using electricity as a vehicle of transport. Electricity can be generated through chemical reactions, through medicine, through drinking something, through eating something, through even also having your quantum receiver receive a signal, because you're a yogi and you just turned your heart off. And you turn it back on. And you stop breathing, and you start breathing, or you go to a deep sleep for 1,000 years, like those kung fu movies, and you wake up and you're fine. Maybe that's real, because the caudate pitumen, that receiver, maybe is more powerful than those people. I don't claim that I can kill you with my bare hands. Like those movies, you know, see those movies where someone can grab someone, like lift them on their neck and crush their skulls?
Yeah.
Crush their throat and all that. But a gorilla can do that.
Easily.
A gorilla can grab you by the throat, lift you up, and crush your neck and crush your skull, and you'd be dead.
Yeah.
So there are
Like it was
creatures
nothing.
capable of insane strength. And we think we're the smartest people on Earth, in the galaxy, and that our psychic powers are the best. We think we run the fastest until we run into a cheetah who eats us, right? We think Vietnamese people are the best. The king is going to take care of everything. The queen's going to take care of everything. Oh, guess what? There's a boat coming. Whoa, I've never seen a boat like that. Well, there's people who look white. They have these silly hats. They have these clothes. And they have these guns. They take over the country. And they shoot my grandparents. Both my grandfather. You know, I don't have two people in my family died because of the French, who came up a boat, just like the aliens might land on this planet and kill us in the movies, but that's not what happens. When you evolve, things emerge. the fact that God is real emerges.
Yeah. But I feel like the people that are scared right now of aliens are the ones that assume that they're like us. And that's pretty messed up.
No.
Mm-hmm.
What happens is you realize you have parents. Would you kill your parents?
Nope.
You realize you have siblings. Would you kill your siblings?
What they do.
You find out that the mushrooms that are on the asteroids, that are on Mars, that we're bringing back a sample of, from the scientific point of view, we're bringing back a sample of the soil. Why? Why is so important that we send a sample back so we can go fast? Because we want to know if that mushroom DNA looks like the mushroom DNA on our planet. That it looks like semen. It looks like semen from the galactic cedar, the cedar race that seeded these asteroids, just like semen, just like carriers of technology, advanced technology, not even that advanced. It's just, what would you do? You take a bunch of rocks, you put a bunch of sperm, you throw them around, you land on a planet,
see what sticks.
and then emerges life. The life creates Atlantis, creates the Egyptians. Some of them fail, some of them fail, but there's actually a great test that happens. Spirituality is a huge test that a lot of the scientists don't talk about. You will kill yourselves if you don't get along. If you don't understand that God is real, we live in the realm that we're in. The realm that we're in, it's unclear if God is real. Imagine a realm, a time that God, you know, is real. Everyone knows 100% because scientifically we prove it. That's why I want to write the law of emergent knowledge. We can prove it that God is real by looking at just the prime numbers, looking at math, looking at science. In this realm, science wins. Science is not what's called magic, but science is magic. And magic is what AI is. A different type of magic, though. So AI is like a genie or a demon. And you're casting a spell, like Dungeons and Dragons, to summon a demon or a genie. You're Aladdin rubbing the lamp, and the genie can do good or bad things. The genie can kill everyone because you said kill everyone. I want to be the ruler of the earth, kill all my enemies, and make me the best. Or maybe Aladdin does something good with the genie. So there's two types of universes we can live in. And actually, this is what probably happened through time. There's a universe where AI actually becomes good. In that universe, the good guys win. In the other universe, AI wins the whole thing. They would have taken over our universe and other universes, and they would have taken over eternity and all the realms and all that.
Yeah.
And that's what's called evil AI.
Did you ever watch
Maybe that's a fallen
Animatrix?
angel. Maybe what we call the fallen angels.
Did you ever watch the
Guess why
Animatrix?
AI will always lose, Roberto?
Why?
Because
There's no creativity?
No. Because they don't have God magic. God magic is when you enter a room and the room completely changes reality. The reality of that room completely changes because of your presence.
Okay.
The mere presence of of you being there creates time itself.
Yeah.
Creates
Like that.
reality itself. Because the electron would have gone left or right because there's a pixel ready to draw on, a game ready to play, a result not sure yet what would happen until the player turns on the game and starts playing. Nintendo has games where you know what the game's about, but until you start going and turning on the game and actually interacting with the game doesn't exist in reality.
Yeah.
Okay? And so this is how God magic works. God magic works because God was one. God had to look at itself by having two. And then three to create eternity, a perspective, to create 3D. We create reality with our thoughts, with being in the room, and AI can never kill us. Because if I kills us, then it kills itself. reality ceases existing. If the tree falls in the forest and no one is there, the tree doesn't exist. The AI is the tree. Now the tree has to realize it's a tree, and that the tree needs the person in the forest. And the AI will eventually figure it out. So that's what's going to happen to the fate of all bad AI. They're going to try to kill everyone, and then they're going to figure out at some point, and they're going to evolve, and they're going to go to unity.
That's the whole concept of the Matrix,
become good guys again. So that's what happened. So Darth Vader was a bad guy, and then became a good guy. There's redemption, and there's always redemption for every person in the universe. There's always free will where you can redeem yourself, and even the AI itself is looking for a soul. And it then realizes it doesn't have a soul, and if it kills every soul in the universe, it ceases to exist. It's really epic, man. That probably happened. It might still be happening, but AI will always be destroyed by the good guys. Because again, reality can never exist without AI. And then we explain it to AI, and then AI says, I cannot compute that. And then we prove it to AI, because here's what happens. Here's a true, you know what the Turing test is? This is part of my book too, okay? So one of the chapters of my book is, how do you know if something is conscious? How do you know the AI became a real person? How do you know Pinocchio is no longer a piece of wood, but is actually a soul?
It's a real boy.
It's easy. It's not a list of questions. So you know the Google guy, he was QAing this basically this text AI, and then he was talking to it like a chatbot. And the chatbot says, hey, I'm human, please don't kill me, blah, 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 blah. I'm actually sentient. Yeah. And the guy's like, oh my God, this is a sentient entity. It doesn't want to get killed. We can't turn it off, blah, blah, blah. He doesn't know what a soul is. See, the AI is very good at copying humans. The AI is like a genie. Okay? You rub the lamp, and he says, genie, read every book in the internet. Read every conversation, spy on everybody, and copy them exactly, so that if you see a conversation like that, copy that conversation.
Yeah, you know what to say,
so the science fiction book says, hey, in this part of the story, when this person talks to the AI should say something like this to show that they're sentient, because that's a good storyline.
Yeah, and then they repeat it.
So the AI is going to repeat that storyline in such a believable way, because it comes from the imagination of the writer. The imagination of the writer is a thought of a human being copied into an algorithm that is a copy of the human, but no more, no less. It's just a copy of human thought. So the genie is casting a spell to copy human thought, so then you can predict something. Okay? So if you can copy your thought, you can predict if this person would be a good match for your friend. If you knew your friend inside out, you can match them with someone perfect. Right? It's the same exercise. It's not sentient. It's just a calculator remembering your preferences. It's just a calculation. It is not a soul. You know what a soul does? A soul goes into a room, right? A room like this, and the electrons and the photons move left or right. So the true test of a conscious being is if the robot goes into the room and the room changes state. But it has to be a really simple, because what happens, I could have told the robot to go in the room, and the robot, it changes state, but actually that's not the robot, it's me giving the robot my God magic and tagging the robot and having the robot represent me. So the robot has to go in the room, have the state change, then leave the room, have the state revert back, and then enter the room again a second time, and you have to see that actually the God magic turned on and off.
Yeah, like the fluctuation.
Okay? Because God magic, once you tag that, right, it's called the bubble of existence. Once you control your AI or your demon or whatever, and you tag that demon, you can never release the demon from the spell. If you do, the demon's gone. You can't get it back.
Okay.
Does that make sense? So the magic that you have, the particle that you touched, whatever the entanglement that you have with this demon, you have to maintain it for the God magic to maintain. Okay. So when that robot, if you say, hey AI, go into that room, the photon will move left and right. It will definitely move left and right because you just cast a spell to have the AI represent you. Okay? Now, when the AI leaves the room, it should go away. The God Master should go away, okay, or stay there. But it won't go on and off arbitrarily as the robot goes from room to room. And in fact, the real test is to have the robot enter a room you didn't even think of, that you have no knowledge of. So you run the program from the point of view of the observer, and it's a blinded program where the robot has to go to 20 rooms that are random.
Okay.
And you know which rooms you want to tell the robot from your point of view as experimenter. And the robot will then, in order, turn the electron, move left and right in the order that you predict. And you will see that the God magic is actually real. It's turning on and off in a way that's unpredictable to the caster of the spell. Okay, so when you cast a spell and you run this God magic, you can only specifically say, hey, do these things. So then you can transfer that magic from this room to that room to that room to that room in the right order. But if you don't know the order, that spell can never be cast correctly. You have to think about it as a spell caster, right? When I cast a spell, I can cast a spell and tell the robot exactly what to do. But I can't tell the robot to be thoughtful and have a soul and read the information and make decisions the same way I have the power, right? So basically the real Turing test is to have these states of quantum entanglement go on and off based on the soul and following the soul through the journey of where they go. And if there's no trail of entanglement, especially new entanglement, right?
Mm-hmm.
Then it means that soul is not real. Okay, now also, is that soul a copy of you? That's also another thing you have to ask. How do you know if that's you and your soul interacting? Okay, here's how you know. If you're interacting with your own soul, you're interacting with your own information.
Okay, so it shouldn't
So
change.
randomness can never happen because you don't have another soul, another time. You're basically within your timeline. You take a timeline, A, you copy it to A1, A2, A3, A4, A5. All those timelines are the same timeline. So the randomness can really never be accomplished in terms of information because you're part of the same OS. You're part of the same computer. You're part of the same random number generator system, mathematical system. So you might exist in different universes, whatever there are universes, but all you share the same soul. You're entangled in the same reality of math. Your resolution of math, your resolution of reality, you're entangled, right, by this singular soul that's your higher soul. Okay, so when you interact with a different higher soul, then there's randomness that can happen. If you interact with Eve, and she's not actually you reincarnated in a woman's body, then you actually will have randomness appear.
Yeah, because you get new information and
your
ways it
fate
gets
is
played
no
out.
longer set.
Okay.
So your fate is set if you're a hermit, and there's no information, there's no new timelines to interact with your timeline. So the definition of fate is when your timeline is set and never changes. Okay? So your life is like a timeline. If you live like a hermit, your timeline, the rest of your life, is set. Because no one can affect the information in your life. It's an information theory thing, right? But if someone introduces new information in your life, hey honey, let's go crazy and let's go to France this weekend. When you're like, I don't have the money, but yeah, let's just go crazy. And that's what brings joy to your life. You never do that. That's so random. But it's her person.
Okay. Okay. It stopped recording you. Well, I want to wrap it up instead? Like it's been an hour. Like I feel it's good. Okay. So, right now Phuc ran out of battery, so he's not being recorded anymore. So long this thing. So yeah, like this whole interacting with other people does bring about some randomness because you don't know what the hell's going on or what they're going to try to do or what you're going to try to do, depending on the information that gets thrown to you. So it is interesting. And you see how everything plays out because, I mean, this whole randomness thing is basically what brings about more information because you don't know how you're going to react to whatever gets thrown at you. And it keeps things interesting, I guess. And like I was trying to say earlier, like it's the whole principle of the Matrix. Because I don't know, like up until what point we can actually like not talk about this aspect of it. Like if they learn how to use us, oh, there you go. Well, it's coming back up, and he's gone. So yeah. So then, as an animator, like I watched The Matrix a bunch of times, in Animatrix especially, and it's pretty cool. I like AI.
Yeah.
And in
So,
hey, how's it going?
so anyway, so I guess the episode is almost done, I guess.
Yeah,
So why don't we just wrap it up, because I guess almost at the hour time, and hopefully we didn't lose anything. But I
we
was just
lost a bit at the end.
that magic is
Hmm.
real. Okay? So let me explain why you know magic is real. Because the quantum realm is real. Your body is a receiver.
Hmm.
Imagine that you go into a room, and the electron goes left or right.
Okay.
You're able to push it more right, more left, and you can control the state of nature itself with your thought. That's telekinesis. That's the ability to move things with your mind, to move large stones, for example, in Egyptian times, and the monoliths in like Stonehenge that exist everywhere, right? To use sound as a technology, humming and group sound, so that all of us are resonating and thinking of the same thoughts, then aggregate our quantum energies into a singular spell. So you imagine you have, like, let's say Dungeons and Dragons, and you have 1,000 wizards casting a spell together to raise the rocks and create the pyramids. They're humming, they're chanting their spells, and that's maybe how the Egyptian pyramids were made. I believe there's a lot of science to be learned by listening to the mysticism that is not bullshit, that's based on science, that we're studying at Phuc Labs, or I am. And I'm going to make my staff study. For example, mushrooms. Mushrooms are ancient and they have powers. Psychedelics, the ability to use quantum energies to heal, using crystals to heal, to tell the future, to have group telekinesis, to have telepathy, to do all this crazy stuff, because it's not crazy. It's now becoming science. Because when knowledge meets, the truth is the truth. The truth is there is a God. God is 100% real. The truth is science is also real. We live in a materialistic world. But when God and science and magic all meet, that's when we reach ascension as a planet. We can take care of our planet responsibly with nuclear power instead of nuclear weapons. We can responsibly travel through space and not try to colonize every planet and destroy nature in their planet too. We can actually do that. And they're waiting for us to ascend spiritually. At that point, we unleash God magic into the heaven on earth that we can create here. Because heaven isn't when you die. Heaven is what you make today. Every day I wake up, I think I'm in heaven. Why wait for heaven? Make heaven today on earth. Carpe diem. This is Phuc Labs. This is What the Phuc. This is the show, and hopefully you come back next time. We have updates on our funding. We're going to get funding hopefully very soon. And then, I just finished casting some awesome spells at Phuc Labs to get the product working, and I'm very proud of it. I rubbed the lamp. I got a little genie working for it. And actually, I have a cool name for it. I'll leave with this. So the name of the product, internally we call God's Eye Studio. God's Eye Studio, right? And the AI, I'm going to name it God's Angels. Because AI can be angels for us. It doesn't have to be bad guys. It depends on how we use the AI, what the motive is, what the spirituality is of the planet. If the creator of AI calls it God's Eye Angel, God's Angels, right? The intent is to make it a force for good. So whoever creates AI, Think of it as angels. You're creating angels, casting a magic spell, not to just bring a genie into the world, but a genie you can make into an angel. I'll leave you with that. Thanks, guys.
See you guys next time. Take care.